Oh, I don't know how to start. Today we're doing something very fun. We have the one and only Mix Library on the channel, and we're going to be pretending to be full-time writers for the day.
Yes.
We have some coffee shops we're going to be popping around, and we're both going to be working on writing projects. Mm-hmm. What are you going to be working on, Mix?
I have 2 scripts that I'm currently workshopping, both very early on, so I have to figure out which one I'm going to tackle today, but that's the plan.
Love that. Mm-hmm. And as you guys probably know, I'm on draft 2 of my fantasy book right now. I think I'm on chapter 5, so I'm going to be working on revising that today and hopefully making some serious progress because I'm trying to put the pedal to the metal.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the vibes. I'm really excited.
Me too.
We both have a full free day pretty much, so we're going to be embracing the full-time writer lifestyle. Not the seatbelt.
Oh.
Should we have taken them off? Well, it's fine. Oh yes, and we're in the car obviously right now about to head to all of our destinations, our writing spots. Yeah. Because we're big fans of writing outside of the house, I would say.
We are.
You guys may know Mick from my productive dates footage. If you don't know, she has her own channel where she talks about books, all booktube things. And I'm trying to bully her to start talking about writing a little bit more. So if you guys want to participate in that bullying, I endorse it.
Oh! Like polite bullying.
Polite bullying. Loving. We think you would be so good at this. Encouraging. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's head to coffee shop number 1 and get started. So if you haven't seen any of my other writing vlogs where I go to Village Well, it's essentially this really cute half cafe, half bookstore situation. And they actually just did a huge expansion and like doubled the size of it. So this is me and Mick reacting to the crazy new renovations.
This is crazy.
We ended up getting an entire breakfast. We both ordered toast, matcha, and these delicious mochi bars, which is one of the best baked goods I've ever had, no exaggeration, and I really wanted Big to try it, so here's this taste testing the mochi bars. Do you like it?
Yeah. Wait, that's really good.
And then we officially entered the zone and started writing. This is me rambling on to Mick about how I wish the word count was longer and how excited I am for it to get longer. And then, of course, we had to stop by the Ripped Bodice, which is a really cute bookstore for romance books. We also stopped by this cute little photo booth place where we got these photo strips of us taken. And then we decided we wanted some lunch. So we went over to Erewhon and got some smoothies and sushi. Okay, we got sushi and the Erewhon Sabrina Carpenter smoothie.
Very exciting stuff here.
Which I've never tried. I've never tried a single Erewhon smoothie, so I'm ecstatic, actually. Let's do a taste test.
Okay. Whoa.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's very
more
sweet.
Vanilla than I was expecting.
Yeah. It's not what I was expecting
Controversially, I like the Hailey Bieber one better.
Oh, tea. Okay. So, we just spent 4 hours at Village Well writing our butts off, actually, and we're going to chat about it. Let's talk about how the writing session went first, and then we have a couple questions that I'm pulling from the recesses of the audience questions. Maybe not that sound, though.
It's also a 1-year-old's birthday happening behind us, so if you hear any screaming,
that would be why.
That would be why.
Do you want to fill the people in on how your writing session went and a little bit about what you're working on?
Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't writing anything from scratch. I'm collaborating on a script with my roommate. He wrote a first draft. It's like I would say thriller, drama, horror adjacent short film that we're hoping to produce at some point in the next year. But we needed it to be funnier, and also we needed to fix the pacing. So I basically was rewriting what he'd already written and tweaking. And that's what I was working on the whole time, and I'm almost done because the original script was only 12 pages, and I have added 2 pages, I think, to the length. I'm feeling good about it. It's good.
That's
I
exciting.
think it's in a better place. We've been looking for projects to start producing because I was originally working on a novel when Brielle and I first started doing writing dates together. I was working on a novel. I got overwhelmed, pivoted to screenwriting,
which we'll talk about more later.
Yes. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. I have to get myself over the hurdle of finishing something. Like, I need some finished projects in my arsenal so I feel better overall. So feeling really good about the progress today. So
the fact that you finished almost the entire thing in one session is kind of crazy.
We were locked in. Like, the vibes were so good in there today.
It did not feel like we were there for 4 hours.
Not at all.
I literally thought we were there for like an hour. The vibes were locked in until a very perplexing conversation started taking place across from us, and I thought they were on a date. Turns out maybe they're friends, but they were both projecting very awkwardly, like projecting like loud.
They were sitting directly across from us,
and they were not turned into each other. They were just like talking into the air, and the
vibes were weird. The vibes were so weird.
And like, once a conversation is distracting, I'm sure like people who work in public spaces probably can relate. Once you lock in on a conversation near you, there's no getting back to focus. Thankfully, it was towards the end of our writing session and kind of prompted us to move along. But like, yes. We were very much in the zone, though, for hours. My update is that I think I mentioned I was working on chapter 5. So I was about halfway done with chapter 5 when we started. And then I finished chapter 5, including multiple passes. And then did the entirety of chapter 6, including multiple passes. And these chapters were not as messy as the beginning of the book. Like, the beginning of the book, I was doing a lot of restructuring, writing, like, whole new scenes. Like, things were crazy. These, they needed to be cleaned up. And, like, I added some dialogue, but that was pretty much it. Like, the bones were still okay. And it was better written, I think, than the beginning. So that was my progress. I'm feeling really good about the pace now. Like, chapter 6 is done. We're about to break into act 2. So that was the update. It honestly went very well. I think once I got over my perfectionism, things have been going a lot better with the revising. And I'm finally starting to actually lock in on my characters, because I was struggling with that quite a bit.
Yes. The arcs are arcing.
So let's talk about how, like, this video concept came about.
Yes.
I feel like we talk a lot about, like, what our lives would be like if we were full-time writers. Mm-hmm. Like, that is something we dream about. We discuss what our daily routine would be. So I thought it would be, like, so fun for us to dedicate a day to just being like, if we had nothing else to worry about, care about, no other obligations, like, let's clear our schedules. What would you say is, like, your ideal full-time writer routine if you had to break it down?
I don't know. Productivity and how I'm, like, feeling inspiration-wise really varies for me day to day. Like, I know a lot of people, like, you feel more motivated in the night, like you're more of like a night writer, and I know a lot of people have that like specific time that's like, I can get so much more done, like I feel much more productive, etc. But for me, it like varies from day to day. So I feel like my full-time writer schedule would be like based on like day to day how I'm feeling. Like, I would just like have intuitive. Yeah, it would be intuitive. It would be like, I have goals, like daily goals, weekly goals, and as long as I'm meeting them and like setting schedules based on like how much time I want to dedicate to it on a specific day, or if I wake up and I'm feeling like I want to get into the project right now, or if I'm like not feeling inspired at all, and then all of a sudden it's like 9 p.m. and I have candles lit and I'm like, wait a second, let me pull out my laptop, you know? So like, I think that is one of the benefits of being a full-time writer, is being able to have complete control over your schedule. And like that, like I can't even imagine beyond that. Like, I think that's what it would be for me, you know?
I feel literally the exact same way. Interesting that you think I'm a night writer, because I actually identify myself more as a morning writer.
Really? I feel like you've always told me that you just feel like more like locked in the nighttime.
With productivity in general, yes, but specifically with writing, my brain is fresher in the morning.
Okay, that's fair.
But I do enjoy the nighttime vibes of doing something productive. Like, I love editing videos at night.
Yes.
But anyway, tangent. I feel the exact same way. Like, to me, that is one of the most exciting parts, is the intuitive aspect of like, what am I feeling today? Maybe I don't want to do any work during the day, but tonight I want to like buckle down, or vice versa. Like, that's the most exciting to me. And then I feel like it really feels like, I don't know, you have all the control, you have all the freedom. It always kind of perplexes me, and maybe I'll eat these words in a year or two, when people start working for themselves and then they institute this like really strict schedule on themselves. I understand some people need that to thrive, but a huge motivator for working for yourself is that flexibility, that freedom.
I feel like that's one of the perks too, is like, you can set this schedule for yourself, but if on that day you're like, can't do it, hey, no problem.
No one's stopping you from just being like, okay. Some of the full-time writers I follow, it's like, if they're not feeling motivated with their writing, they might work on content, or they might work on freelancing. Like, you have...
There's any number of things that you could be, like, tackling.
Right, exactly. Or, like, marketing, if you're not feeling like actually writing the book. Like, it's cool to be able to pick and choose what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So that would be our ideal life.
Yeah. Being able to go to cafes for multiple hours in the day, just, like, post up, get a coffee, hunker down, or, like, waiting until you have the apartment to yourself, putting on an ambiance on the TV, coffee, maybe inviting some friends over for a little writing session.
My dream.
You know, and if you have multiple full-time author friends, having a writing session in the light of day.
I would die.
What a concept.
I would actually die. And once you're on a roll, not having to stop for anything is so cool. I feel like today is a great example of that. We were there for 4 hours, and because we had scheduled absolutely nothing else and things were going well, we could just keep going. Even if it was, say, a nighttime writing session and things are going insanely well, being able to stay up as late as you want because
you don't have to wake up in the morning.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, what a dream.
Exactly.
What a dream.
So those are our thoughts on the full-time writer lifestyle, and we got to test run it today on a little Saturday. And maybe one day this will be our daily routine, our daily vibe. Let us know what you would like most about being a full-time writer in the comments. I feel like that'll be a fun little prompt.
Oh, for sure.
I did want to discuss a couple writing-related topics that you guys submitted with the Q&A. One of them was basically asking, how do you approach titling your books? How do you make it not basic and cliche? So I think we should talk about this because I think it's hard. It's a very hard thing.
It's very hard.
What are your thoughts? What's your advice?
I mean, first and foremost, there is so much content that exists in the world at the moment that it's very, like, if you have a title that really speaks to you that maybe is similar to something that already exists, don't necessarily count yourself out from using it just because of that. I think first and foremost, like, if there's something that like is like, this would be perfect for my story, like it fit, then like, yeah, go off, you should do that. But for me, when I was trying to pick a title, I don't even know if I might have changed it down the line, but the first thing that I did was check and make sure that nothing came up when I put it in Goodreads just to see how I was feeling about it.
Or at least nothing within the same genre or like, yeah.
But I think it's like one of those things that you just have to continually toy around with until you find something that you feel like really works. And also, the thing that's so interesting, I've actually had this conversation with my roommate before about like film titles. Like a title for something else, like sometimes I'll hear a title for something and I'm like, wow, that's like perfect, like I love that. But do I only feel that way because I can see the finished product and I'm like, wow, like I can't imagine that being named anything else kind of thing. It's like confirmation bias. So like don't think about it, I feel like, too much.
Sometimes I feel like you just have to sit with it. Like, put a temporary title on it for a couple weeks and see how you feel saying the title. Like, does it feel like it fits? And yeah, it can totally evolve. I would honestly recommend not voicing your title out loud until later in the process, until you've really sat with it and kind of confirmed it to yourself. Like, you could leave your project untitled for a lot of the process and then wait till later to finalize and actually say out loud the title. My title changed like smallly since I originally thought of it, but I didn't mention it on this channel, thankfully, until it was more solidified. So yeah, I would say that. And then if you're like struggling with the brainstorming of it, after you have your rough draft, like don't stress about it before you write the book, I would say. But after you have the rough draft, just pull like different terms, different phrases from your draft that you like. Like, you can find the answers sometimes in the like sentence level writing, and maybe do like a little word association exercise and like make just a brain dump list. That's always a good place to start. Just try piecing things together and see some contenders.
I mean, going off of what you said, also, like, I feel like sometimes after you write something, there could also maybe even be like metaphors that are like applicable afterward. Like, don't stress about it until you're in like the final stages where it matters.
I agree.
And if you're at that point and you're still struggling, there's like any number of resources like generators or like word association games, like you said, like that kind of thing. So like, I feel like it's the kind of thing that you can't stress about too much until you're like in the end game, you know?
And you could also ask friends or people who have read the project, like if you had beta readers, what words stuck out to you, what type of title do you foresee something like this having? Just get some inspiration that way. You could play with, okay, what if it was a one-word title? What are the options there? Or what if it was a phrase title? What are the options there? Like, just play around.
And if you're like fixated on wanting it to be like, I don't know what the exact word is, but like reflective titles, if there's going to be multiple books, when you want them to like go together, like that's also the kind of thing that like you can wait on until you have more of a sense of what the other books will be, you know? And I feel like if there's a structure that you like, you can find a way to make it work for like whatever, you know what I mean?
Definitely don't feel like you can't start until you have a title. Like, don't hold yourself back in that way. And then the second sort of question that we got, again, I'm remembering this very vaguely, was about burnout, basically. How do you bounce back from writing burnout or deal with like a slump, and just like kind of that on motivation and like staying consistent. Thoughts? Want to share some personal antidotes?
I'm someone that does personally struggle with the motivation aspect of things. I tend to like, if I hit like a little roadblock or a speed bump, or I'm like, oh, like this is hard, like I don't know how to move forward from this particular thing, I will put the project aside and be like, I'll revisit this. But at the end of the day, I think it's really important to take advice from my favorite author tuber, Brielle Writes, and just write it. Like, unfortunately, I fear the only advice really is you just have to write. Like, you have to push past whatever roadblocks you are personally putting in your path or are being put in your path, and like find the time, push yourself. Like, take breaks if you need to, obviously. Like, sometimes nothing good can come of trying to force yourself. But if you're like me and have taken multiple month breaks and then you're like, oh, I just don't know if I can get back into it, can't hurt to try. Can't hurt to literally just put yourself back into it, you know?
I think there's also a huge difference between genuine burnout and then just like slumping or struggling with motivation. Like, to me, burnout is something that happens if you're like working on something a lot for a long time and you just like truly need a break and rest. And that is very different than like not being able to bring yourself to be consistent or not having motivation. I always come back to that quote that's like, motivation comes as a result of doing the thing, not before doing the thing.
Wait, I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
I like
feel
that.
like it's really true. Like, when you make progress and you feel proud of yourself, that's what's going to motivate you. And sometimes you need to like discipline your way into starting, type of thing.
Burnout is just like a hard concept in general because it's obviously so different from person to person, like what that specifically looks like and what has caused it. I think also when it comes to burnout, just give yourself grace. Again, like sometimes nothing good can come from punishing yourself or like being mad at yourself for not being able to be in a place where you can feel like you're making like good progress on whatever it is. Like, I was struggling to be motivated to like work on YouTube stuff last month, and I was like, whatever, like I know like the spark will come back. I'm gonna give myself some time. I'm gonna take it easy this month, and then I'll lock back in when I feel like excited about it, kind of thing. You know? I feel like also like as soon as something really feels like a job, that's when it can get like a little trickier, you know?
There's also really something to how you're framing it. Like, every time I start thinking and feeling, oh, writing is hard, writing is so hard, like, once I start saying that to myself, it feels a lot more hard. And it feels...
That's so interesting.
It feels like I'm, like, pulling teeth out. And then when I reframe it, I'm just like, I'm just gonna type a little something and see what happens. Then the pressure's really off, and I feel like it no longer feels like hard work. It just kind of feels like play. So if you're really attached to this idea of, oh, it's so hard to motivate myself, like, it's such a struggle, blah, 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 you're gonna like sabotage yourself. Like, try to forget about writing being hard for a second and adopt that approach of like, let me just write a word and see what happens, type of thing.
Sometimes all it takes is a word vomit document to get the spark back.
Absolutely. But like Mike said, like, do give yourself grace, and you know yourself better than anyone. If it's genuinely just like, I need time away from this to get re-inspired, like, that's totally fine. Take a week, take a month, and eventually, if you really are passionate about it, like, that itch will come back and you'll be motivated again. We're actually gonna eat the sushi, and then we're gonna maybe do a tiny bit more writing to close out this video.
I'm very excited. The vibes are like, I don't know if you can tell via camera, but the vibes here are actually perfect.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I feel like we're both in a good mood.
Yes. The sun streaming through the trees, light breeze, positive energy.
Yes.
Like, it's just overall very good.
Beautiful day. Love it.
Love it.
Okay. Sushi time. This is the outro.
Yes.
We wrote for, what was that? Another hour?
Yeah.
Another hour. I read Mick's script and gave her some feedback.
Very insightful feedback.
Oh, if you want me...
Speaking of,
if you want me to give you feedback, check out the manuscript critique services linked down below. I am booking for the fall slots. I have a couple slots left if you want to get into the books. Anyway, that was too perfect. That was too perfect.
It was a very nice segue.
Thank you. So yeah, we did another hour of writing. I've entered a chapter that's a lot rougher, just in terms of like the writing quality. I think I was writing it very quickly, like drafting it very quickly, and as a result, a lot of the sentence structure was repetitive, like tons of sentence fragments. It was giving a little juvenile, so we're gonna work on cleaning that up. I got a good head start, but it's gonna need some more passes.
But that's the kind of thing that like will improve over time.
Yes. And I also think I'm realizing that I'm going to be doing multiple passes within each draft. Like,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
Every chapter I'm doing, I'm not just going through it once, I'm going through it like 5 times, rereading, like adding, tweaking, whatever. That's just what the process is looking like. But it was good. And you finished your script, right?
Yeah.
This is very fun. Maybe we'll do another similar challenge or vlog another day.
Or maybe a writing
Yeah, we are maybe planning a writing retreat in a few months. So you'll be seeing a vlog of that. I'll have all of her links down below if you guys want to check her out. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week with another one. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Happy writing.